truthfully, and maybe I should have, because of what we do, I should have watched the whole thing. But I've been focused on dropping my daughter off at college.
Yes.
So I am starting this piece by piece. And last night I watched the first episode. So I don't want to sit here and act like I've seen every episode. I do feel like I've already seen every episode, because like the fourth episode I know deals with I think that's going to be fun for me to watch, because Ed Werder, who I do the Doomsday podcast, which is part of Rogue Media Network, that's a wild story, and that's a scene. And I think here's the way I would answer that. This is not new, but what this is bringing back memories of and making me think about and making me a little bit sad is, like, think about, like, the 49ers were great in the 80s, right? And even into the 90s. But they didn't have, like, I don't know what happened at the end with Bill Walsh and then Seifert takes over, but there was not some kind of enormous falling out. It's crazy to alienate everybody, make everybody hate you, and then get lightning in a bottle and become great almost overnight. And so by 91, you're getting really good. By 92, you're great. By 95, you're a freaking dynasty. And Jerry gets it in his head that he can do it without Jimmy. And so they did win that one Super Bowl without Jimmy, but I can't help but spend all this time looking at this thing and thinking about, like, how many would they have won? Would it have been closer to, like, what the Patriots did? Probably not that much.
Yeah.
Would it have been, like, could they have won 4? Yes, easily. Could they have won 5? Yeah, absolutely. They could have, because Jimmy had, that's what Aikman hated so much about Switzer, is that he just didn't enforce anything, and he kind of tried to run it almost like he did at Oklahoma. And the kids loved him at Oklahoma, but you needed more discipline than they had. And so Aikman had to become the disciplinarian, and that screwed up relationships. So I think all those things, and sort of being reminded, and when I say reminded, I get excited about different things than I think most of the viewers do. I like seeing, like, there's Del Hansen, there's Jerry Orr, there's Chris will make it, there's Gloria in her early days at Channel 8. Like, I know all these media people, and so to see it, like, it makes me feel like a little kid again. Man, because there's Hansen when he was really young.
How about Bill O'Reilly turns up, right, working for, I think it was FAA. But my favorite part, Matt, and I think you and I are sort of like kindred spirits, the B-roll is absolutely amazing from the local news affiliates and even from, network news. Did you see the part Sam Donaldson is taking Jerry Jones to task on Nightline? My mind was blown. He calls him by his last name,
Jones.
I was like, why has this not been a bigger deal in my life? That blew my mind. But it is a window into how everybody thought this dude from Arkansas, who bought the Cowboys from Bum Bright, was out of his mind. And I think if anything, Matt, and I'm curious to get your take on this, it's almost as though they sit us all down and they're saying, hey, we want to explain to you guys why this guy, Jerry Jones, is the way he is today. Because if you watch it, it sort of makes sense that he's outrageous and kind of nutty in his negotiations and just how he handles business day to day with the team.
Yeah, I even that one part where I'd forgotten that our first news conference, that apparently he looked over at Tex Schramm and said, well, I want his job. And those shots of poor Tex Schramm. I mean, that's the thing, the GMs and everybody you remember growing up in Philly, like, he was a god at Tex Schramm, and the players would get into it with him. But it's like, we're so far removed from those years. It's hard to imagine, like, a coach, a GM, an owner. I mean, okay, what's weird is, Murkison was the great, silent, quiet oilman owner. Well, Bum Bright comes in, he's an Aggie, and then all his banks are failing and all that. That's another interesting part to me that I'll talk about today too, Pete, that is just the first of all, Jerry could have been an actor or something, right? Yes. We saw him on Landman. He was really good in that. And like in this, he's just still such an incredible storyteller. And his face which he's had, work done over the years. But I think that came out several years ago when they were at a camp in Austin. But it is kind of like it's like an old country music singer or something.
Yeah.
There's like all this character, and they do all those close-ups. And I got to say, I mean, that's the Hollywood part of this that I kind of enjoyed, was them kind of doing the whole Western thing. And then Jerry kind of looks up from his desk and sees everybody. And what it reminds me of, when you talk about, Jerry being a great character, it kind of like, it makes me think about the fact that for years, every owner in the NFL looked like Art Modell or Wellington Mara, or just all these old white dudes who were like, wait, were you ever young? Were you ever like, what? Right? Yeah, they're just like, I mean, every one of them kind of looked the same and all. And so with Jerry, like, it makes sense to me that Jerry's first owner that he really looked up to and that kind of took him under his wing was Al Davis, because they're kind of the same person, right? They're mavericks. They want to do their own thing. They want to go against the grain. They want to be innovators. They both end up kind of being looked at as crazy in a lot of ways. They're irrational. They're willing to sue anybody at any time, but they're kind of the same person. So, I mean, it's what we didn't know at the time, while everybody hated him for firing Tom Landry, that we were going to get probably the most colorful owner in all of professional sports. And then he was going to have this reign of 35, 36 years. And it'll just keep going on, because I guarantee he does this into his 90s. The whole thing. So anyway, there'll be things along the way, and I'll let you know when I see them, that I'm like, oh God, I forgot about that. Or I don't know if I ever heard that. But all that White House and stuff with Irvin and all that, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of like you and the Eagles and Brown and, those unbelievable linemen and the stories you would hear over the years. Well, some of that stuff would be somewhat new to me. Yeah. Like, it's almost impossible to find something with that era of Cowboys that I haven't heard. It's a reminder, though, Matt. That doesn't mean I can't see it through a kind of a different lens now. Yeah.
Well, one more thing, and then I'll let you go, because you got to get ready for your show. But I thought just two statements, and then I'll get your reaction. One, you mentioned it. People that watch this, holy crap, can Jerry Jones just tell a story? Like you're on the edge of your seat, and you've been witness to that. I never have. And his storytelling skills are on full display in this. Another thing, too, that we learned in episode 1, or not learned, reminded of, Michael Irvin was so charismatic. Like, there are not, I don't know that there are players like that today. Maybe there are, but just when they show him get drafted and he's coming to Dallas, he's pumping his fists. Like, is that athlete gone? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he really just seemed like a different breed.
Yeah. I'm sure we could think of receivers who kind of carry themselves like that still to a certain extent, but he did have kind of and maybe it came from being in a family of 17 and going through some stuff early in life. It did feel like sort of Deion and Michael came out of college like fully formed with an awareness of who they were and like what their brands meant, and like what their personalities, how it could almost single-handedly like bend a team into formation. I mean, you're right though. There's a level of sort of cockiness and awareness and fun and crazy that probably has been coached out of these kids. It's funny that Jimmy, who was the ultimate disciplinarian, was looked at as a guy who basically had lost control of these players at Miami. But again, what they were, they might have celebrated and made everybody mad and been called convicts and all that stuff. But what they were was an incredible group of athletes. And when they performed together, which they almost always did, I mean, they were the greatest team in the country. Yeah. But it was a time when we all were like scared of weird, like, oh my gosh, he just spiked the football or he just danced over a guy. And that stuff scared people. It was like, oh, this is not how we remember it. This is not what our grandparents grew up with. And it's the same thing. I mean, Jerry Jerry's personality draws people like that in. So it shouldn't be shocking that, and again, Michael was drafted before Jerry showed up. That was under the Landry era. But it shouldn't be shocking that Jerry wanted to bring in Haley. He wanted to bring in Dion.
Yeah.
And then even some of these stories about Haley are freaky.
I read those
like what he did to get out of.
Yeah, and you've told me some of them.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, look, it's 12:50. You got to roll. And I'll be talking to you on the Matt Mosley Show between 1 and 3 o'clock. I'll be talking to you today. Matt, thank you so much for visiting with me and making the time.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, bud.
All right, bye.
All right, that's the great Matt Mosley. And, yeah, you